So I'm sitting here working on my tumbling charms or my falling charms, whatever you want to call it. And it's a really easy pattern to do. You just have your 6.5 inch block, or I am using a 6.5 inch block, and you sew a 2.5 inch strip onto it. I have previous videos showing how I stripped pieced that. So you sew a 2.5 inch strip onto it, then you turn it and you sew another 2.5 inch strip onto it to make an L. Okay, so I have all of these blocks made up in different colors that have that same L. And I prefer using non-directional fabrics because you're going to have to flip them in different kinds of ways to get that. But you've got that L on both of these. So what you do to make your rows and to make that pattern, I drew this out. This is what your L will look like. So first row, you're making 2 repeating rows throughout the whole quilt. So your first row, the L fabric is going to look like this, and your second row, the L fabric is going to look like that. And what that looks like in real life, this is really hard to do with small things, is one block, I've got a fan going, is going to look like that, and then this block is going to look like this, and you're just going to sew this seam together, and you're just going to do that over and over and over again. And then on the next row, you're going to start with that and then this. So basically you're just offsetting it one block. But that's what your L, that's why I drew myself a little cheat sheet. So this is row 2. This is row 1, okay? And so your white fabric just goes like this, and it makes that tumbling, falling block look. So I sew it to get 2 rows at a time to make sure that I'm not matching fabrics, and then you can really do this. It's called a tumbling charms or a falling charms because a lot of people use a charm pack when doing it. I personally am making a king size, so I upped my blocks to 6.5 inch instead of 5.5 inch. Just to make it go a little bit faster. And I personally like the look of the 2.5 inch strip with that 6.5 inch block. If I'm doing a 5 inch, then I cut my strips 2 inches because it's just a little bit too thick for me. But a lot of people who are using pre-cuts use the 5.5 inch charm pack and then the 2.5 inch jelly roll, and you can make a quick quilt with just that. But this is what a set of rows looks like. And see that white pattern just kind of falls down this way. And so I can put a picture in the comments about what the finished product looks like. Not this quilt, obviously, I'm still piecing on this quilt, but a quilt that I did for a wedding in April. So I hope that helps.